My name is Vince McIntyre. I'm 67 years old. I was born in the west of Ireland. I do woodworking, various, a jack of all trades, you might as well call me, yeah. I've lived here since 1979. I found this place by accident and decided to camp here with my girlfriend in 1979. She was a mountaineer, and we made our temporary camp here, and here 30 years later we're still here. I just needed I had been living in a big wall tent and I burnt it down, and I needed another place to camp, and it was just a temporary solution. I left home because I didn't get along with my dad, and and I got as far away as possible from family because of all the tragedies associated with my childhood. And I ended up going to South America for a year, and then when I come back, I went as far north as I could go. That was to Dawson City, and there was something like I was getting away from. That I never, back then I never thought I'd ever settle down, that I'd always be a traveler, right? And when I come here, I kind of grew into the place, and my daughter was born here in the Kootenays, so that's probably the reason that it made it home for me, yeah. And then when I immigrated to southern Ontario, we all worked on market gardens, and there was no Canadian kids working there. They were all refugees, Hungarians, and we were the only Irish kids there. But there was, kids from away, and Canadian kids went off to the beach on the bicycles in the summer. We crawled rows. So when you have that experience and you decide you want to get away from it, there was a few events in my life happened to make me realize, hey, that was a good life, and now that I appreciate that I had them experiences because they give me endurance for what I do. And if kids don't have that, like I know people that are 40 years old and they're still babies. They're still like they have this, they treat me like a parent or something, But you should be over that. You should be over that. Like we have lost that concept of manhood and growing up and all that somehow, That you don't have that extreme whatever it is to push you out in the world. At one time it was a young fella'd go to sea because he couldn't get along with his father, for instance. And that's natural. That's natural to be forced out of the nest, just like the grizzly bear beats up her cubs to send them away, give them a good beating, and then he won't follow her around anymore, When I people that come want to learn something of me, I just come and watch me. I'll show you how I do it. And that's where I start with people. That I have demand of people that people be observant, to actually explain stuff to people. I have a hard time with that, and that's not the way I like to do it. I don't want to come there. Like if you're in the field and I'm doing things a certain way, I'll show you how I do it, and then I'll see how you get it. So what motivates me is working with other people, but it has to be not just, it has to have some meaning to it, like find out who they are and what they're made of. And that's the way I find the good in humans, the people I work with. When people heard of people immigrating to New York, for instance, from the west of Ireland and going there, and they could work like 5 or 6 days a week and have vacations. We didn't quite know what vacation meant. It was a new idea that you could have a holiday. And because people with small farms and cattle and all this stuff going on all the time couldn't even have that idea. But so when people learned about this other way of life, they felt like what they were doing was drudgery, That was that they didn't have. They couldn't travel. They didn't have the affluence. They didn't have the money. So it was poverty along with that simple lifestyle. And I might seem harsh on people and hard on people, and I am, and I'm never going to be different, because I demand your attention. This isn't something that you might play at, because I don't play at it. I got run over with my horses and smashed up, and I got up and I kept doing it. People get on a big machine and they have that power, but with a horse you have to be polite. You have to ask them. You have to get their willingness and attention. This work that I'm doing is totally meaningless to me. Going out there and putting 3 bags on and making a bunch of money, and any amount of it. I got so that this is just playing figures for the government. That it's not very effective, and it justifies cutting down more forests. So I decided I'm going to try not to have to do this. And that's when I decided to farm. Right? When we look at the past, we see the good parts of it, and I'm telling you the good parts. And I have spent a lot of my time in them good years where I was depressed about stuff and thought too much about what's happened to the world and so on, and believing in and realizing that I'm helpless. If I don't have a tree planting job, what am I going to do? I'm getting too old for it, and I don't believe in it. So when I started growing food, I come to realize that this is really important to feed my family and my friends and people around me, and that over the years become an issue, become a really important. It could become more important the longer I did, and I have a better understanding of what's really happening, and how, and the whole idea that we have given up our power to do stuff. Like my parents left without second thought their way of self-reliant lifestyle, a little mixed farm with, even though it was poverty, they had with their own efforts, they didn't have a mortgage, they didn't have any of this stuff. It was hard to find money and so on, but they had some power in their lives.